Thank you, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Just give me 1 second. Thank you again, as I said, for joining today. A reminder that the public webinar series is designed to educate attendees on the scientific ecosystem, and every month we'll have a representation from either a data coordinating center or a program that is within the Common Fund data ecosystem and the centers that support them. Today, I'm just going to go over some updates from the KC, discuss some future events within the ecosystem and beyond, and then we'll hear from our featured speakers. So just a reminder, if you're unable to attend last month's webinar or any of the ones before, the webinar recordings are all available on our YouTube page and also on the KC as well. If you have any feedback, questions, or want to be added to our listserv, please email us at help@cfdeknowledge.org. As I was saying, here are some upcoming events that we'll be attending as the CFDE. So last year, the Festival of Genomics was actually our inaugural CFDE booth. We are going to be participating in this event this year as well, both with a booth and a Genome Dome talk. And this talk is going to be structured around CFDE as a vehicle of integrating data across multimodal biomedical resources. In addition to Festival of Genomics, in July, we will also be attending the Intelligent Systems for Molecular Biology Conference in Liverpool. And there's going to be several groups from the CFDE that will be attending this conference. HubMap is going to give a talk on sustainability and reliability of resources. The Training Center will be giving a talk as part of the education track. In the Knowledge Center's Julie Jurgens will be presenting the GeneSet browser, an interoperable and AI ML ready tool for GeneSet analysis in the Common Fund data ecosystem, which will be part of Session 2, Cyber Infrastructure and Emerging Technologies on Monday, July 21st. So if you're going to be at the conference, please let me know. I can connect all of the CFDE members that are going to be there. I do know there's going to be a vast majority of people there, so it'd be great to have everyone find time to connect with each other for that. And lastly, the American Society of Human Genetics Conference will be in October in Boston. As usual, we will be representing the CFDE at both a booth and ancillary session, and this time we're also going to have a general networking event that will be in concert with the conference. So for this networking event, you don't have to be registered for the conference to be able to join. So we're looking for, people who are in the area or looking to travel. We're thinking this would be a great opportunity for all of us to connect. This event is still in the works, but we are looking forward to having different people attend from within the CFDE, and we'll send out more information about all of these events soon. Also, if you're interested in learning more about CFDE and its researchers, then you should join Dr. Alyssa Dillman as she hosts the Decoding the Data Ecosystem, a CFDE Training Center podcast. And this isn't just a podcast, but it's really supposed to be built as a community, specifically around omics research and solving complex biological puzzles, and along with addressing pressing health challenges. And so this is designed for anyone, whether it's a researcher, a student, or you're just curious about biology in general. This offers valuable insights, inspiring stories, and advice to guide you through the world of omics research, training, and education. And just to note that the first 5 episodes are available on Blueberry, as you can see here, or wherever you get your podcasts. So now I'm going to hand it over to the Integration and Coordination Center, who'll be presenting on sustainability and evaluation within the Common Fund data ecosystem. And as a reminder, we'll be able to use not only the question and answer, but also the chat throughout this. So please feel free to raise your hand, ask any questions, or utilize the 2 mechanisms as I had mentioned. So with that, the ICC, this is for you.
So can everyone see my slides?
Yes, thank you, Jake.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we're gonna spend the next 45 minutes and talking about the integration and the coordination center for CFDE. I'm just going to be giving some overview of our center, and then we'll follow by my colleague listed here. They're coming from UAB, from University of Colorado, and UCLA. As a team, we want to give you a good introduction of what we do, how we can serve the ecosystem uh, better, and what we have done in the first year so far. And I want to give you an overview of what this common fund has been all about. And as a refresher of our memory, we are really working collaboratively to drive the biomedical discovery. And all of the DCCs or data, uh, well, the center, the contribution center, they are grouped according to four pillars, um, according to NIH vision. So one of them is that we're trying to do data-driven treatment planning, and quite a few centers were involved, and they're coming up with drug predictions and the patient gene activities. A cluster of centers are evolving around the topic of pediatric cancer targets. And then another cluster, and almost all the centers, DCCs, are doing cloud native integration as a goal so that the future biomedical research can be data-driven, can be actually using mouse click and doing very complicated analysis online without just a burden of latching it to the laptop. And then a fourth cluster is a complex conditions insight that involve many exciting DCCs, but also involve the upcoming Bridge to AI for data generation project. So as you can see, the scientific agenda is very ambitious for our community. If you go to the cfde.info website, you can actually get an overview how these all of these 14 plus DCCs are uh, the are organized. The DRC, I'm sorry, DRCs. And then in addition, there are five centers that are funded, and we're one of them. So the DCCs and Data Coordination Center, uh, and then there's the Knowledge Center, Cloud Training Center, and it's us, right? So we're sending for coordination, integration and coordination. So as you can see, the five centers serve very complementary roles to help make sure that the ecosystem have central focus, are growing over time to achieve its full potential. So what exactly do we do? I think I'm listing our mission statement here. We really want to support the common fund data ecosystem growth with efficient teaming infrastructure and management practices. Um, and then we choose this term connect with two meanings. Of course, on the surface, we're connecting people, we're connecting different centers, we're connecting NIH, us as the developers, and then the user community. But this is an acronym for Collaborative Network for Nurturing Ecosystem of Common Fund Team Science, or Connect. So internally, we have four cores among ourselves. And I think one of the core is called the admin core. We essentially coordinate different meetings and events. You have seen newsletters in the past. You've been on the Slack channels. You've come to our annual meetings. That essentially is what we do to make sure that we provide the management support as the admin core. And then later on, my colleagues will talk about sustainability core that is trying to think about the long-term viability of our ecosystem, and evaluation core that will provide both the steering committee and NIH insight on how well we've been doing on an annual basis. So I think this is a brief overview of what you're expecting from administration core. So each year we're organizing two meetings. Many of you have been to the spring meetings. I think in the fall meeting, in the fall, we also have a smaller PI meetings. And usually the location can be in Washington, D.C., and we're also thinking about other locations when the budget permits. We're also coordinating lots of monthly meetings, such as the steering committee meetings that involve all the center PIs, and to come together on a monthly basis and talk about matters that are important to us. We're also coordinating working groups to make sure that they're working on specific task forces. We're building newsletters, and we have Slack channels, and we have online calendars. Let me just show you a little bit of a website so that you get a more visual impact of what we can do. Especially, I want to introduce some of the beta features on the website that may be of interest to some of you. Let me stop sharing and then reshare the, the web browser. So if you go to the website and cfdeconnect.org, you see that there are several tabs and about the meetings, about the course, and then the calendar. So one of the things that we really decided to do is to have not only the meeting agendas. In the last fall, that was the first meeting that we organized. And of course, you can come to the website, register, and have agenda overview. But we also have decided to really allow people to come back to this website and ask the question, what have we accomplished overall? And this is really good for future planning based on the summary. So for example, in the meeting spring that we just concluded in Bethesda, we have shown that there are more than 100 registered attendees and more than 20 technical sessions that involve talks or panel discussions, 29 poster presentations, and then all of these centers and DCC were connected. And this is our very exciting group photos, and everyone seems to be happy. We talk about these agendas, and then these are some of the notes that we took, especially when we use the infograph to really summarize, to see that what have been the focus of each session. And the DRC session focus is C2M2. You can actually continue to see that for the training center, seminars, a web podcasts, and hackathon, all of these events that has been planned. And then especially I want to raise your awareness is that we have put in some of the statistics, infographics about who have attended these meetings. For example, there's a 25% of our PIs, and many of them who are attending our spring meetings are postdoc researchers, students, and staff scientists or engineers. So that's a very diverse population. We not only have people coming from academia, but interestingly, we have people from NIH, nonprofit foundation, and private sector. And then on the website, we also documented how satisfied you are with the meeting. So far, most of the people find the meetings are very satisfied. with various feedback, and they liked the networking opportunity. A breakout session were informative. And we want to use website feature like this to really connect with each one of you. If you have additional feedback, how we can improve the website so that you can always come back, revisit the meetings, and think about what we're gonna actually go into, how to push our community and meeting events to new heights, feel free to write to us. And we also recognize that we only have uh, 2.5 people, actually 1.5 people funded for the administrative core. So we have to be super efficient. And so we just decided to actually build a chatbot. For example, I can say, well, what is the goal of the spring 2025 meeting? Okay, let's see what the chatbot says. Um, it says the goal of our meeting was to actually do these development of outreach tools, growing user base, and I still remember that Shankar really emphasized that, and we had lots of discussion, improving data accessibility. We were hoping that the tools like this, and even though that were very experimental and basic in the functionality, that hopefully we can uh, get the document that we're willing to share and then use those documents to feed with this chatbot so that you can come to our website. You don't have to actually go talk to me in person. We're all nerdy, but then we're busy. But then we're happy to hear your email inquiry, but you can actually come to the website and get more and more questions addressed. And of course, in addition, you can also communicate using Slack channels and other means of uh, just communication. Let me come back to my slides and then just show some of the
Jake,
other things that we're doing. Uh,
Jake, can I pause you for a second?
yes.
Noelle has a question.
Oh, sure.
Hey Jake, I have a question. Actually, I love that slide you just made, by the way, as a side note. I think it's quite beautiful. As a member of CFD, I attend these meetings and I love them. And what I notice is, I come from a genetics background and I meet with a bunch of genetics folks and we all understand the same common language. What I love about these CFD meetings is they bring people from different expertise. And since this is a public webinar, I wonder if you can kind of comment, probably it was being the administrative core and having those metrics, which I thought were really cool. I'd never seen them before. Running a meeting that's internal but brings together such diverse groups of people and it being a success from what I gather and from the metrics gather. What would you say is like some advice that you would have for other NIH resources that bring together like diverse groups from different scientific domains? If they're thinking of this type of structure or having meetings that sort of span user types and investigator types.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I wouldn't say that we have advice to share. We certainly have lots of lessons, but one of the things that we felt that we really do well is that we listen to the community feedback. As we're planning for this meeting, we insisted that we do not dictate over the agenda. We asked everyone, including the working group, including NIH, all of you who are actually key stakeholders in the common fund data ecosystem. What are some of the most important topics that you would like to share? And then we try to actually create a structure so that everyone will have the voice and as many people as possible will be able to go through their voice and then get their issues at least partially addressed through the face-to-face meeting. And then our role is simply to capture, make sure that the meeting is smooth, and we capture what has been documented. So I don't know whether that's maybe more of a behind the scenes and helping, but actually the meeting is successful not because of us. I would say it's all because of all of you contributed and made great points. So we simply just document it.
I like that. It's a great answer. Thank you.
All right. So let's see there's a video that we also I think one of the working group that we talk about is to create a common calendar. So we really listened and we decided to make this 2-minute video and show you that the calendars now is in the beta testing stage. Let's see.
Welcome to the CFD shared calendar system demo. So our calendar can be found under cfdconnect.org/calendar. It's how it looks like. So we have different events in our Google Calendar. Now let's walk through how to send event to calendar. So you have to click this button and it brings you to the Google form. So you have to enter all information like title, description, start date, end date, and time, the event type, the location, registration link, associated grants and tags. After that, you have to submit. After submitting, the administrator will receive the notification. That's new event submission. So the administrator can find all information and he needs to the review and update, in this case, row 5 in the spreadsheet. So when the administrator open the spreadsheet, he can find the row 5, the new event. After look at all information entered, he can choose to approve, deny this event. For example, we gonna approve this event. After that, our script generate the new event ID. That means this event has been added to the calendar. Now let's update our page. And we can see that new event has been added to the calendar. And the responder received the automatically notification that your event is now live on our shared calendar. And so this Google Calendar can be integrated in different way. You can, for example, you can embed the code, iframe code, HTML, and it's also available publicly in iCode format. Please send us feedback and any questions. Thank you.
All right. So that's pretty much our just a preview of the calendar. So feel free to think about how we can improve it and who's gonna be there to approve it. We don't want to be the person that set up the policy, but we do have communication committee that we're hoping that there will be policies on what kind of event will be commonly shareable in the CFDE. With that, then let me just quickly transition my talk to my colleague. And so we have a sustainability core. I think Pei and Wei Wang from UCLA are in charge of this core, and they will tell you more details about how the 3 pillars are supporting the missions of the sustainability core. And also join with me today are just from my colleagues from University of Colorado, and they will be talking about how the evaluation core work and how they're going about collecting information and try to report it to provide feedback to NIH and the steering committee member. So any questions before we move on to the next core? Oh, there's, I think, additional questions. Okay.
Already answered the question
Okay.
in the chat.
Okay, all right. So let's move on to Casey and Sean. If you can present the evaluation core next.
Yeah, happy to. Thank you for having us here. Um, Hopefully, folks see some slides. If you don't see some slides, yell.
Looks
Yes.
great.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I'm excited to share what our evaluation core team has been working on. I'm here representing the core, which is myself, Sean Davis, Vince Rubinetti, David Mayer, and then we work closely with the NIH program staff as well. Just to orient us within the Common Fund data ecosystem landscape, we know the Common Fund data ecosystem's mission overall is to foster scientific discovery by increasing the value and use of data and resources generated by Common Fund programs. So in the evaluation core, we sit here. Our goals in the evaluation core are to help the NIH and funded programs demonstrate the value of these programs, as well as the deliverables in driving scientific progress. We want to characterize the impact of the various infrastructure components on scientific discovery and data reuse, understand the effects of the Common Fund data ecosystem funding initiatives, such as partnerships and driving innovation forward, and then help align the evaluation components to encourage new data-driven decisions that enhance the Common Fund data ecosystem as a whole. So that's a bunch. So let's break this down a little bit. The first challenge we're really working toward tackling is helping provide consistency in reporting. So both consistency in metrics as well as consistency in format, computability, et cetera, for metrics that are submitted. So in the current state, there are many different reports which have core and common elements across them, but where those pieces may differ. And so it's not readily computable or integratable to present throughout to all stakeholders. Our goal is to move toward a place where we can produce a dashboard that's accessible to across the NIH teams that work with the Common Fund data ecosystem, have consistency in core metrics, so use the exact same value to represent kind of the exact same feature. Really try to reduce the duplication of effort so that there's not multiple submissions, and ideally make this as easy as possible for folks who work in the Common Fund data ecosystem to report. So really try to bring that burden as close. We know it will not be zero, but bring it as close to zero as possible. We've done this with a strong bent towards making sure that things are practical. The path we're moving down essentially takes the current state, makes as few changes as possible, but builds around it the tools for automation so that it becomes as easy as possible. So we're collecting essentially similar data to before. We've actually added some GitHub repo metrics that we think will help capture software impact that weren't previously routinely collected. And then really focused on building an automated reporting infrastructure so that information can be drawn continuously and then paired with unique metrics on a periodic, probably quarterly basis, but really try to reduce the reporting burden around the metrics that are shared among many components of the Common Fund data ecosystem. These reports are available to the NIH and provide a lens there, but we're not sharing them with other folks who are not involved in the programs themselves. Just to be clear, I think it's really important whenever you're gathering metrics to think about how those data will be used so that you gather both the right metrics and structure them and think about them in the right way. So we are not trying to do this with the goal of creating a tool to compare program A to program B, right? We don't. Different programs have different value propositions. They have different communities of users. While there is this kind of common driving purpose, the goal is not here to sort of give it's not to produce a report card. that is, well, this group got this and this other group got this. And also, our goal is not really to compare the absolute value of the number of users, the amount of usage, and the output. Again, you would expect this to be different by different programs depending on the communities that they are serving, and we're not planning to, share this with other awardees. What we do want to be able to do is see trends over time within a program, and be able to evaluate trends among cohorts of programs, just to sort of tell the story of how Common Fund data ecosystem engagement relates to program success according to key axes, and really to support this internal annual progress reporting process. The way we're building this, the real goal is to develop opportunities for programs to identify behaviors or activities that they undertake that may have outsized yield on increasing the impact of their programs, and then be able to take that, create a lessons learned from that, and potentially share it with other programs, or kind of share it more broadly, so that folks who are working in this type of space can understand what drives engagement, both kind of immediate term engagement and then sustained engagement of user communities. So again, when we think about the goals here, we really want to lower the burden on Common Fund data ecosystem awardees by automating and allowing those groups to, instead of focusing on the same metrics that everyone is reporting and sort of having to gather those on a periodic basis, really be able to showcase the unique facets of each program. For the Common Fund team, the benefits are putting the reports in a single location, ensuring those reports are consistent, and then because the reports are consistent, making it easier to incorporate them into their annual progress reporting. So here's our roadmap for essentially the summer. We are working through essentially next month as well as July to make sure that we've got this initial metric gathering implemented across all the key program components. We're working with the CFDE program staff to align with the current report content for these shared metrics. And then the process that we have right now allows us to gather the information. We are in the process of producing an open source software that will allow programs to gather. So we would gather the centralized information and report it, but to allow any program to essentially run the code and gather their own information. And then ideally use that as a lens to be able to have programs say, oh, well, you're gathering this and this, but if we put this together in this way, it's a more useful metric. To be able to then continue to refine and improve the overall reports that are generated for the common metrics, and allow programs to, where there are unique or individual metrics that are not broadly relevant, but they're relevant within a program, use the same ingredients that we're gathering to build upon those to generate unique metrics that are of particular value to those programs. So what are we gathering? So yeah, we're getting information from some key NIH resources, PubMed, iSight, Reporter, and then combining that with information for web properties from Google Analytics, as well as software from GitHub. These are the data sources that we know are key on the immediate term. I'm sure that as we continue to work through this, we will continue to identify data sources that that are important for many programs, but maybe were not universal, and then begin to work toward automating ingestion where there's kind of commonalities that are needed. Yeah, so there are possible additions as well. PMC, event information, as well as feedback from events. Let's see. So what do you need to do? So if you are here and you represent a Common Fund project and you would like to get it added, we have instructions. So they are at this URL. These slides, I believe, are shared in the chat. If they are not shared in the chat right now, we will get them shared in the chat as soon as possible. So you can click this and reach the instructions. We have instructions for software repositories. I will say the software repositories have to be public, and it's pretty simple. You just add your core project number to it. And then for Google Analytics, we have a process here as well that is all detailed here. If you have questions, concerns, comments, etc., there are ways here to actually reach out to us if you need assistance, and we're happy to help. Let's see, and then I will stop screen sharing. Okay. And I think we would be happy to take whatever questions you have. Feel free to drop them in the Q&A. But in the interest of time, I think we should pass it over to the Sustainability Core right now. And then if there's any questions, happy to handle them at the end.
All right. So I would invite Pepe, Ping, and Wei to co-present our sustainability core.
Hello, greetings and welcome from Professor Wei Wang and I'm Pei Ping. Professor Wang and myself are partners with Jake Chen and Casey and Sean on the ICC, and we're focusing on the sustainability core. So without boring you with additional aims and goals of sustainability core, we're going to dive into the projects right away. We have two very brilliant and energetic young people joining us today, presenting two key projects that's been done in the past 12 months in sustainability core. The first one is regarding generating guidelines and best practice to support datasets AI ready and sustainable. And the presenter is Miss Caitlin Ray. Caitlin, take it over.
All right, can you see my slides? All right, perfect.
Yes.
So yeah, my name is Caitlin Ree. I graduated from UCLA last year with my degree in statistics and data science, and I have taken a research position with Dr. Ping as a gap year project. And these are the Ad Astra principles to support AI ready and sustainable data sets. So as artificial intelligence rapidly evolves and expands, so too does its potential for applications in the biomedical and healthcare sector. AI-powered tools are already revolutionizing healthcare in diagnostics, treatment, population health, and more. And emerging technologies present the opportunity to further transform the field. And these developments are made possible by utilizing large-scale data, the lack of which remains one of the main challenges to AI innovation. And given the vast scale and high value of CFDE digital assets, it is important that data is properly ready for reuse to maximize investments made in data generation. So our objective is to develop a set of guiding principles to support the CFDE milestones of rendering digital assets fair, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, and ready for AI implementation, promoting reuse and future knowledge discovery. So in an effort to reach these milestones, we have constructed Ad Astra, which signifies our goal of reaching for the stars in dataset sustainability and making progress in the field of AI. Ad Astra can be broken down into AI readiness, data integrity, interoperability, safety, transparency, reliability, and alignment with stakeholders. AI readiness overlaps with sustainability as an outcome of the following guiding principles, but it is also a stepping stone on the path to sustainability. AI readiness requires a concerted effort to ensure that training data and other digital assets are prepared for use in AI models. Scalability is important to ensure that digital assets can evolve alongside their applications, and rendering data AI ready supports sustainability by enabling the use and reuse of datasets as AI applications transform and broaden. Next, we have data integrity regarding quality control, completeness, and consistency. Datasets with integrity have correct and consistent data and metadata, and this can be ensured through quality controls. Making datasets available in their original and attributable format and reporting any data imputation acts as a check for those reusing the data, to verify the integrity of the dataset themselves. Interoperability concerns standardization and machine readability and extends beyond data to include APIs, software, and other tools. Datasets and other digital assets are in commonly supported machine readable formats and are benchmarked against other similar assets. Interoperability is important for sustainability because it allows datasets to be shared and used across a variety of different systems. Safety deals with privacy, security, and governance of data. Consent is established and documented, and clinical datasets are in compliance with HIPAA. Datasets are governed by accountable decision-making entities. So, for example, a data architect would make decisions regarding data storage, and a project sponsor would make decisions regarding authorization and access of data. Techniques are implemented to protect the privacy of data and to assess potential security issues, including anonymization, synthesizing, and deduplicating. And safe data sets lower the risk that data users incur when reusing data produced by others. Transparency is achieved through open source practice and explainability. Beyond making data and metadata available, all data collection methods, model architectures, model training processes, and analytics workflows are documented and shared. The intended purpose of datasets and guidelines on permissible use cases are also stated. And data transparency ensures that stakeholders and data users can comprehend its nature and usage, sustaining the datasets. Reliability entails proper storage and documentation to increase reproducibility. Data is stored securely to ensure availability, privacy, and scalability. All digital assets are documented with detailed labels and version controlled for clear provenance, and any automatically generated provenance is immutable and unforgeable. Provenance and documentation provide a foundation for referencing for reproducibility and sustainability. And finally, alignment involves stakeholder collaboration and community engagement. Innovation-driven and community-aligned best practices are established and adhered to in order to minimize fallacies and misrepresentations of the data in AI implementations. Users are educated on examples where inaccuracies might impact data and vice versa, and all risk mitigation efforts are made transparent. Aligning datasets with the values of their user communities ensures that those communities will continue engaging with and using the data, in turn increasing its sustainability. So we've outlined actions in Ad Astra that take into account technical, social, and ethical considerations that can be made in an effort to achieve these principles. Much like the FAIR guiding principles, these are not standards or requirements, but broad efforts that can be considered towards the CFDE goals of fairness, sustainability, and reuse. And all of these actions cumulatively support the CFDE aim to ensure that valuable common fund data can be used and reused to advance biomedical research.
Thank you, Caitlin. Any questions for Caitlin or for Professor Wei Wang and myself? You are very welcome to bring them up here or send emails to us. And we have also Caitlin's emails here. With consideration of time, I invite our next speaker, Ethan G., who's a brilliant software engineering, currently a grad student in the computer science department at UCLA. And he's going to share with us a tool he has created to help CFD datasets transition when the program or parenting program sunsets. Ethan, I think you're muted.
Okay, can everyone see this all right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we worked on some analysis of existing CFDE programs, and we also suggest some of their future data hosts in this project. So first, I'd like to outline some milestones that our project hopes to achieve. We first like to assess the Common Fund program needs. then we also hope to collaborate with their data resource centers to render their assets fair, compliant, and we then want to promote outreach and reuse of the Common Fund digital assets, amplify their impact, and to support sustainability. So first, I'd like to actually motivate this project, right? So simply put, the problem here is that experiments are expensive, right? So we want to avoid having to rerun experiments over and over again because the data, in principle, should last a while, but in practice, they suffer from limited shelf life, right? Because the CFDE programs, they get sunset after a few years, but we want the data to remain relevant and to last longer than that. So how can we try to increase the shelf life of the data? Our project proposes that we should relocate the experimental data to long-term data storage. So how we do this is that we first look at the various CFD programs. You can see I have a few listed here. Then we extract the C2M2 data types from the experiments, like the metadata, right? And then with these C2M2 data types, we try to categorize them into several broad categories like genomics data, proteomics data, imaging data, etc. And then after that, we try to suggest suitable repositories for these categories of data. So we, broadly speaking, offer two classes of suggestions. One class is the generalist repositories like Zenodo, Dryad, Figshare, and so on. And the other class is more specific or specialist repositories like clinicaltrials.gov, GenBank, and so on. So now I'll go over some examples of what that looks like. So we start with the CFDE program, and then we look at the C2M2 data types. So GTEx has experiments which produce genotype and phenotype data, which we classify under the phenotype data category, and we know that can be sent to Geo. And another example, HMP produces nucleic acid sequence records, which can be classified under genomic data, and we can send that to Biodata Catalyst. And yeah, another example. But as you can see, all of these relationships are many-to-many relationships, and it's the number of different chains that we can produce increases exponentially. And it's all really quite tedious. So in order to aid in this process, we produced a tool and a visualization for where to put the data from various CFDA programs. And yeah, the visualization is this Sankey diagram. And yeah, that's all. If you'd like to visit the Sankey diagram, you can use this URL or this QR code. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. Any questions for Ethan, Caitlin, Professor Wei Wang, and myself? We're all here.
I had a couple questions. I thought the last slide was really cool. Can you put that back up, actually?
Yeah.
I have older eyes, and so I don't. But like, can you pick out for me kind of like an interesting kind of connection that this made for you? Because I kind of think this is interesting given that many of these resources do, sunset or, could be not only that they sunset, but could be useful to other resources in the context of the data in that resource. And I think that's really the reuse and the integration piece that you guys are getting at with some of what you're talking here, right? So can you comment on
It amplifies. Once you put the data sets in future hosts, you amplify its impact. Exactly, Noel. So
yeah.
I think you got it right on the point. What Ethan has done is not to show just one possible home for one data set, but to give a broader landscape presentation to say, for this type of data sets, you could be possibly matching with X number of future homes. And
Yes.
you would easily sync with APIs that you could then connect this data sets with multiple places that extraordinarily increase and expand its future user groups and audience. And even without sunsetting, I think it's something that we could use this strategy to significantly grow user base.
Yeah, because I can think of the inverse, which is like you see the CFD programs, but if you're on the other side, you like work with your favorite repository on the other side that's not CFD, and you're like, oh man, we should contact that resource and that get that resource to pull in the CFD data, and therefore you have this sort of reciprocal connection, which is kind of like the ultimate vision of what we're trying to achieve across the CFD in terms of that exchange. I actually love this. We should put this on a web page if you guys are cool to it. I love it. It's a beautiful description of that data flow.
He's done so much, and I think we're in the process of hoping to do the beta release. Definitely, we could put it on the website and get additional feedback. And there are also the long-term repositories that have reasonable, sustainable support, such as the Bio Data Catalyst and a couple of others. We think it would be wonderful to share that with CFDE so we could what they call parallel marketing or parallel outreach
Yeah.
efforts. Yeah.
And also, you can imagine doing this in a different way, which is like, this is talking about the raw data, right, Pepe, particularly?
Yes.
You could also imagine like representations and summary representations or like results, right? So there's different layers of this data. I'm putting my knowledge center hat on too, right? Because we think about the knowledge, but I also can imagine we could do this similar thing with knowledge because that's a whole other wing of integration and connections where
And
like, for example,
synthesizing new information and knowledge.
yeah, yeah. So I like that. So that's a future project for you, Ethan, to do the knowledge side of this. I love this.
Handing it back to you, Dr. Chen.
Yeah, well, thank you. This is a wonderful achievement. So we only have a few minutes left. We just want to open up ourselves to see what kind of things that you would like to maybe fine tune our messages and maybe help make our center more supportive and more conductive to your own work.
Also, if anyone has any questions and you want to hop off to be able to talk, just let me know, raise your hand, and I can allow you to talk if you're interested in asking questions that way as well.
Yeah, one additional question I did answer, it was specific to the future meeting format, whether we should involve people outside of the CFDE. I think it's active discussions. We were thinking that we could probably plan for a half a day add-on to invite everyone in the community to talk about their applications if this is what the community needed. So we do need the feedback, and then we do need a champion who can lead such a session as we're planning for next year's spring uh, annual meeting.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I echo that, Jake. I think we've been thinking about that as well with Swathi, particularly to have if you've ever worked with CFD or CFD curious even, come to this session and share your results or your work or work with us or, kind of really keep it a very open workshop or whatever you want to call it, but really for those who are not deeply working in one of the DCCs or to the centers who maybe use the data once or have heard of us or want to use the data, I think that would be incredibly valuable to broaden our research reach as an ecosystem.
You could see that also for projects as a way to continue to build their user base.
Right. Yeah.
So.
I always think of CFD as like a really unique model because it's such a diverse community of resources that come together for a single scientific purpose, right? And I think that's really neat and important. And I think that last slide kind of illustrated that connectivity that I think we are really lucky to be part of as CFD members. But I think to be successful in a year, I really want to say that, CFD is more widely known outside of our borders. So hopefully, between what the work you guys are doing to actually understand what the challenges there are and how to sustain and how to integrate and how to make us a stronger ecosystem, but then also how we work together to propagate that to our research community is really something we're hoping to do together. So I'm excited to see what the next year brings for us.
Any other questions? Okay, just one last thing before we end today's session. Thank you again to the ICC for participating in today's talk. We value all of the various presentations from the speakers, so thank you again. And just a reminder that our next session will be Friday, June 27th, and will feature Andreas Bucco from HubMap. And he'll be presenting on data visualization in the immersive technologies. And so he's worked a lot with VR and how that can be integrated into scientific research and things like that. So thank you again. And if there are any questions that anyone has after this talk that you weren't able to ask, please let me or the ICC know, and we will get those answered for you. Thank you again, everyone. We really appreciate your time.